This podcast is brought to you by Legend Comics and Coffee in Omaha, Nebraska, located in scenic downtown Benson. They got a new location. It's absolutely gorgeous. Check it out. And by listeners like you. Go to Patreon/Two-Headed Nerd. Become a patron. Support this show.
Our story this week picks up where we left off last week.
Broadcasting from the Ziggurat in Omaha, in caverns, deep below the metro area. It is our pleasure to welcome you to episode 751 of the Two-Headed Nerd comic book podcast. I'm your head number one. My name is Matt Baum.
And I'm the internet's Joe Patrick, your head number two. It's time for another new comic show where we'll review 8 new comics from the last 2 weeks. After that, we'll set you up with our must-read new comic picks for next week.
And finally, you'll get a taste of our Patreon Extra, where we are going to take a look at Batman, Caped Crusader. Now, it is important to notice, it is Caped Crusader, not the Caped Crusader. We'll talk about that later.
It's caused me no end of strife. I don't mind telling you.
You get a sneak peek of it, and it's going to be great. You want more than that? You got to pay at least $1. So, gird your loins and hope you wore a cup, because we've got 2 more X relaunch titles: The Return of Jonny Quest, Werewolf by Night minus the Black Eyed Peas, and a kick in the crotch farewell to She-Hulk. It's review time in the Ziggurat!
Before this fight begins, let's lay down some rules. Each comic will be judged using our 3-point rating scale of buy it, skim it, or leave it. And yes, there are slight variations on the ratings, like strong skim it and hard leave it, but it's not like we're asking you to do fractions.
Yeah, I'm giving this a 3 7/5, you know? We're not doing any of that.
Let's have the Ziggurat AI Macho pick us off.
New comics from the week of Wednesday, August 7th.
We begin with the Power Fantasy, number 1 from Image. It is written by Kieran Gillen, cover and art by Caspar Wingard, and look at that cover. Man, that is dope.
Beauteous.
You're right. Letters by Clayton Cowles. I didn't mention the colors because Caspar Wingard is doing those too. Design by Rian Hughes. 40 pages, $3.99. Here's your solicit. Superpowered. You have certain preconceptions. They're incorrect. Here, that word has a specific technical definition, namely, any individual with a destructive capacity of the nuclear arsenal of the USA. It's terrifying.
Yikes.
There are 6 such people on Earth. The planet's survival relies on them never coming into conflict. Come dance to the ticking of the doomsday clock with Kieran Gillen, who worked on The Wicked and the Divine, Die, a little title called Immortal X-Men. You may remember that one. And Caspar Wingard, who worked on Homesick Pilots, All Against All. The eternal fight against fighting starts now. The design of this book is excellent. I love this first page where it's just the Power Fantasy in all huge letters.
Yeah.
Part 1, Heroes and Villains. Beautiful. And then you get this next page where it's like, you've got the titles, Kieran Gillen, writer, Caspar Wingard, but they have all these power symbols, like computer power symbols, and one of them is lit up. Ooh,
I loved that. I think the design of the book is excellent. Ryan Hughes is pretty brilliant.
Yeah. And a great premise here. We start in the 60s and you meet 2 of the, we'll call them nukes, right? Which is what they call them here.
They're called atomics.
Oh, atomics, pardon me. And they're just having a conversation, and it reveals a lot about one of them. One is this beautiful woman, and she's having a conversation with a really attractive young dude. And they're just sort of like eating pizza and hanging out. And then as they're having the conversation, you start to realize, oh, okay, one of these characters is like freaky, super intelligent and may have some telekinesis going on. And the other one is godlike. Just straight up godlike. Mm-hmm. And he's basically telling her, I'm evil. Not because I'm a bad guy. This is just how my brain works. And my brain is like, we should kill a whole lot of people to save the planet. And she's like, no, we're not doing that. And he's like, I agree. But we got to come up with a better way. Just really cool. There's a lot going on here with the whole idea of the responsibility behind power levels this big, right? Like Superman fundamentally understands that, but Superman is also not the kind of guy who would be like, well, obviously we need to kill half the people on the planet to save the rainforest. You know?
Right. But, there have often been stories where humanity doesn't always trust Superman to understand that.
Sure.
Or believe that he understands it. And the allegory here is clear. Like when they say superpowers, they want us to think of the United States, Russia.
Right.
But in this nuclear superpowers,
in this case, they are people living in these countries that represent the nuclear weapons, basically.
Yeah.
And they allow superpowers like the United States to be like, yeah, we're in charge. Like, but you're not really in charge. You're not.
Sure.
And Caspar Wingard's art is so good. And a lot of this is just talking heads. But when powers do kick in, like this panel where we see that like godlike woman, like what her powers really are, it's incredible. Like she's floating and there's energy crackling off of her and she's above the dude and she's huge, like ripped. And it appears to be like 10 feet tall. She's crazy powerful. I love his art. I do think this is a lot more subdued from things we've seen from him. Like he's trying to do a more realistic thing, except for when the powers kick in. And that really gives it this punch.
Well, I mean, yeah.
And it's just a great looking book. Love it. This kind of feels to me like maybe where he wanted to go with a book like Immortal X-Men, but couldn't because they had a plan and they were doing things. But like he was definitely, the X-Men were so stupid powered up at that point that like you could see it coming.
I don't think that this is a recycled X-Men plan.
No, I don't think it's a recycled. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying I'll bet he wanted to do something similar with those characters getting so powered up. Here, they're just like, look, they're in charge, but they have to stay low key because it can result in egos battling. And if egos start battling, guess what? The world gets destroyed because they're so powerful, right?
Yeah.
Gillen writes some of the most intelligent comics on the stands. I really think he's outdone himself here with his examination of world power, replacing nuclear weapons and military might with superpowered beings. Wingard's art is just always great. But like I said, a little more subtle, which makes this book pop even more when the action scenes kick in. It makes it even more bombastic. And like as good of an artist he is, his colors are just as good. It's crazy how talented this guy is. The Power Fantasy #1 is a smart superhero storytelling at its best. I'm thrilled to see Gillen working in his own original stories again. I'm giving it a buy it. Loved this.
Yeah, I agree. I loved it too. I'm a huge fan of the artist. I love Caspar Wingard's art.
Yeah.
The coloring, of course, is sublime. I think it's a very interesting kind of allegorical, like cautionary tale, even
definitely
about people with too much power and what would happen if they were at odds. Yeah. And I think framing it as a superhero story, or not superheroes necessarily, but you know what I mean?
Just superpowered story.
Superpowered individuals. Framing it that way, in a way that's more familiar to comic readers, I think is it's very smart. And I thought it was really compelling. The main character, the guy that
this dude
says, look,
the telepathic guy. Yeah.
The guy that's like the guy that's borderline evil, but not really more pragmatic. It's just, he's very interesting, very, very interesting to read about. And the things that he does in this book, like at a whim, almost, when one of the other atomics tries to flex their muscles and he has to stand in and make some concessions to stop a global, firestorm. It's scary almost.
Oh, it's terrifying. Yeah.
This was great. It's a buy it for me. I'm very much looking forward to more. Well done, Kieran Gillen.
Yeah.
And Caspar Wingard.
Such a great read.
Let's move right along to Uncanny X-Men #1 from Marvel Comics, the latest in our From the Ashes X reboot. From Marvel Comics, it's written by Gail Simone with art by David Marquez, colors by Matthew Wilson, letters by VC's Clayton Cowles. It's 40 pages for $5.99, and here's your solicit. Professor X is gone. There's a dramatic pause there.
Yeah.
A core group of essential X-Men rise from the ashes to face a world without a home and without Professor X. All bonds among the mutant community seem to be slipping away, and Rogue reluctantly finds herself as the hero designated to bring them back together. But a fearless, malignant power is out there hunting mutants, and it has a terrible secret that may destroy what remains of the X-Men. So the first thing Uncanny X-Men #1 does is show how well Gil knows these characters. The opening scene with Wolverine visiting an old friend on his deathbed is pitch perfect.
Oh yeah.
It's just like note perfect. He's wearing the weird little stubby cowboy hat with the bent up sides, and it's just it really made me feel immersed already just with that one character.
Yeah.
The second thing it does is show the immense talent of David Marquez and Matthew Wilson. Everything from the figure drawing to the facial expressions to the backgrounds is stunning.
Yeah.
And then there is an honest to God dragon battle, which is just breathtaking. The dragon, God.
Yeah, the design of this,
so cool.
This winged Quetzalcoatl thing. And you know what I loved about this? They've got editor's notes where they're like, oh yeah, this guy popped up in Savage Avengers number 14 through 16.
Yeah. And this dragon's got some stuff going on that was a fun little twist that's going to be familiar to longtime fans. I'm not going to spoil it here, but I'm interested to see where that goes. And it only made sense, and I can't believe I never thought of it before.
Yeah, definitely. These action panels too. Look at that. With the knocking Rogue out of the sky with the effects, like obviously hit her here and
the tail.
blur,
yeah,
like, oh, that's great.
And look at those colors, man.
Yeah, just gorgeous.
So awesome. Gale sets up subplots in a way that would make Claremont himself proud. There's all sorts of stuff kind of simmering in the background. The issue is full of emotion. It's flawlessly switching gears between joy and melancholy and deep sadness and intense terror. And the accents are on point. And I can't wait to get into it with Matt Bum about the accents.
No, this Remy didn't piss me off. It wasn't.
What about the Rogue, though?
She does just enough. Even Rogue, they're doing just enough. Right? Where I get it, like, I can hear her Southern accent, but maybe I don't hear the sexy senior citizen from X-Men 97 going,
you don't hear it cheating to you? Like, baby, I'm about to fight this dragon over here.
Yeah, no, it wasn't like it's there, but it wasn't ridiculous. It's not Claremontian, if you will.
Yeah. Uncanny X-Men #1, easily the best From the Ashes title I've read so far. We're not done with this week's episode yet, so we'll see how it goes. I thought it was a worthy successor to classic runs like the Outback era. This issue may have only featured 4 team members. We've got Jubilee still waiting in the wings. But this felt more like the X-Men than anything that From the Ashes has offered so far. I'm very excited to see where Simone and Marquez go from here. I'm giving this a huge buy it. I loved it.
I did too. I was nervous about this one because I haven't been thrilled about a lot of the X relaunch. I do think Simone did the right thing, sort of like after the X-Men, went to Australia after the big event and they went through the Surge Perilous and all that garbage, right? And we had to, like, the X-Men are on the run. They're trying to figure out what's going on. And it gives her a chance to go, look, I know what their voices sound like. And I know what they would be saying. And it's like, yes, you've got Wolverine. Yes, you nailed Gambit. You absolutely nailed Rogue. Even Kitty. Like, I even bought that, like, little scene with Kitty. I was, Gale, you got it. I am ready for an X team, though.
I mean, we're going to get an X team.
We will. We absolutely will.
We're building.
We will. But I'm giving this a buy it. So far, well done, Gail Simone. Very happy with this. David Marquez, not even fair.
Wowie zowie.
This dude's so good, like, it's not fair to other artists.
I know. And, like, look, no shade, but I read X-Men #2 that came out today.
Yeah.
And it's fine. It's fine. But it's also, I wasn't as down on it as you were, but there's still that kind of, like, juvenile tone to it.
Yeah.
It just feels a little silly. And this felt like the X-Men There's pathos.
Agreed.
There's like strong relationship connections.
Soap opera bullshit. That's what we come the X-Men for, right? Soap opera bullshit. Give it to me.
And I thought it was just excellent.
We move to the lovely ladies of Gotham City in Gotham City Sirens, #1. They are back. It's written by Leah Williams, cover by Terry and Rachel Dodson, art by Matteo Lally, colors by Triona Farrell, letters by Hussein Atzman Elau. It's 32 pages. It's $3.99. I mean, come on. How can you resist this Dodson cover? They're riding a buffalo. This is adorable. I love it. Although, let's get Catwoman out of the weird armpit suit, please. That can go away.
I don't think she's wearing the armpit
she's not
suit.
in
I think she's wearing the classic
But there's a
suit.
scene where she's adjusting her goggles in the book, and she's got it on.
But I'm saying on this cover, it's
on the
not
cover,
apparent.
no, it's not there. It's not there. Here's your solicit. You can't keep a bad girl down. Catwoman, Poison Ivy, and Harley Quinn reunite for a weekly adventure. That's right. I forgot. This is coming out weekly. So you don't have to wait. They're going to fire them all out, and we're done here. And highly illegal energy drink sponsored hunting operation threatens the lives of wildlife and the residents of Gotham City alike. The only ones fit to save the day are the criminal trio of Catwoman, Poison Ivy, and Harley Quinn, back together again for the first time in years. Sometimes the only way to fight bad is with even worse. With special appearances by White Rabbit, barf, Punchline, and introducing the himbo cowboy henchman sensation soon to be sweeping the nation, known as the Nasty Boys. Curious. Get your chaps, spurs, and hats out because it's hunting season. By the end of the story, you'll be covered in guts, goo, and grit. Featuring the talents of Leah Williams, Matteo Lally, Daniel Hilliard, and more. If you're not chanting hot tubs and headshots and hotties, oh my, by the end of this 4-week-long series, you're doing it wrong. They're paying somebody some money.
Good Lord.
To write these solicits.
That's just too many words.
They stepped up their solicit game. I'll give them that, though.
I mean, it's definitely vivacious.
I thought the art here is really good. Right? Like
I like the art, yeah.
The setting here is great. I love the scenes down the alley and stuff. The colors are crazy.
And real quick, I just want to just because right off the bat something caught my eye. I want to give a shout out to my man Hassan because
he's fantastic.
The lettering is incredible. Look at this. I love this swirly.
Yeah, the clip clop,
little,
clip clop, clip clop.
No, I'm talking about in the first panel, the loop-de-loop white line.
Oh, where like the characters.
I love that.
The character's running and she's like, huff, huff, yeah. No, he's so good that the little tricks that you do, you don't even notice. They go straight into your brain, right? And you're like, oh yeah, she's running and panting. But then you stop and look at it and go, man, I don't know if I've ever seen anyone do that. That guy's great.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. Like where it's like in the bottom panel, bottom right panel where it's like ... Yeah.
Yeah.
And the dots are in their own bubble.
Yeah. I mean,
it's so clever.
There's some like weird poses, but not like bizarre poses, just in the sense.
I mean, I don't mind this page.
I don't mind it. It's action.
She's rabbit themed and she's running away. Yeah. She's hopping away. I
love the coloring though. The dark, sketchy sky.
Beautiful coloring.
And like bright greens of Gotham.
Who did you say the colorist was?
Triona Farrell, whose name we've seen quite a bit recently. She's good, man.
Triona Farrell's been around a long time.
True. William's story is setting up some pretty wacky stuff, like even for Gotham City crime. There's a herd of buffalo that comes running through the street. Right?
Yeah.
I get it. Like we're having fun in Gotham City Sirens.
And they're all branded with like an energy drink logo.
Yeah. And Gotham City Sirens is fun. And it's always been fun. And it's supposed to be wacky. I understand all that. But like you're telling me the cops couldn't follow a herd of buffalo to where they live or where they're going?
It's interesting. Yeah. Well, right? I mean, a lot of shit goes down in Gotham that the cops can't keep up with.
Well, sure, but
let's be real.
It's one thing if you're a guy like Killer Croc, you're one dude, so you might be able to slip away in the sewer or jump into the bay or whatever. This is a herd of buffalo.
Matt, I get it, but it's a herd of buffalo running through a park.
Sure,
it's not. They're not like running down Main Street. Yeah, so I don't know.
But I mean, look, I don't have a problem with it. I guess I had some questions about the motivation behind what's going on that maybe they're going to answer in issue 2, but it left me going like, I don't quite understand the scheme.
I agree. I think that there's clearly something going on with the whole energy drink and the Twitch parody.
Right.
And
some kind of mind control, I guess. Maybe it is coming from the energy drink.
I don't want to get too far into spoiler territory, but I don't think it's mind control. I think it is. Well, I think you could split hairs and call it something different, but there's more to it than mind control.
Fair.
It's like they're hijacking the mind. It's like they're hijacking the bodies of brain dead people or something.
Sure. Well, I guess. I don't know.
Like the users are hijacking the.
And maybe that makes more sense if they are like, look, these are brain dead people or zombies.
We're getting into spoilers now.
Yeah.
And I think, you know what? It's Gotham City Sirens, so who gives a shit?
And the point was, it wasn't clear. Gotham City Sirens has always been a wacky book, though, so I'm willing to forgive some of that. The art is very good. This new creative team is sticking with what works for the Gotham City Sirens title. With this being a first issue, like I said, I'll bet Williams is going to explain things, and we'll go, oh, okay, that makes more sense. I would like to learn more about the shirtless cowboys because I really don't get how they fit into this
I'm
at
sure
all.
you would.
You know,
I'll just bet you would.
and I kind of hope they're around. That's kind of fun if they're a gang. Like, I'd love to see Batman kicking the shit out of these guys. There's like this toxic masculinity kind of vibe to them, you know, like, yeah, let's see them get beat up. I'm into it. For now, I'm giving it a strong skim it. It was fun.
See, you got a toxic masculinity vibe, and I got like gay strip club vibe.
Well,
So,
I mean,
I don't know.
I don't know if they know that's what they're
Well,
doing,
I don't think
but,
I don't think the donor bodies understand that was part of the fine print.
I don't know if they're possessed though. I don't think they are because they don't.
No, I think the one thing that's clear is that the quote unquote users, the people that have jacked into this real life version of Fortnite,
Sure.
are controlling the bodies of people.
Yes, but they're not controlling the cowboys. The cowboys they're talking, they're doing their thing, they're having conversations. They're a gang.
Right, but the people log out.
No, I get it.
The cowboys turn into
No, not the cowboys. They're just like henchmen working for Punchline.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
There's the hunters and the cowboys, two different things.
Exactly. And that's where the confusion comes in. How are they related? How is this working? And
the cowboys might just be like,
I think they're just like wacky Joker henchmen.
Like it's City Slickers, right? And you've got a team of dudes helping you with your dude ranch experience.
They're like the clowns that work with the Joker. It's just a bunch of guys that painted their face or whatever.
I think that they're there to help facilitate the experience. And then, these poor schmucks have gotten taken over by evil schmucks that are using their bodies to hunt robot buffalo in the streets of Gotham City. It's very complicated.
It is. It's
also, there's an energy drink.
It's a little
punchlines in a bikini.
Overly complicated, perhaps.
It is. It's very, very silly
for Gotham City Sirens, but it's supposed to be a silly book. What's your rating?
Did you give your rating?
I did. I gave it a strong
My mistake. I will agree with you. I will give it a strong skim it as well. I thought that at first I was like, ugh, Matt's going to hate this. And then I finished it and I was like, well, Leah Williams is obviously saying something with the whole Twitch thing and the.
Yeah. I mean, there's commentary here and Leah Williams is good. I like Leah Williams.
And it's not wacky in a way that I think that Leah Williams does wacky very well.
Yes, I agree.
And I think that she's at home on a book with Harley and Ivy and Catwoman.
Yeah.
Especially Harley. I thought that, I think that the writing is strong. I think the story is complex in a way that left us both puzzled.
Agreed.
Maybe the art though is really good.
Maybe it's just a little too
skim
complex. Yeah. I think it's just maybe a little too complex, but I bet we get there and we'll find out in a week.
In 7 days. 7 days from today.
There we go.
Look at that car.
Outstanding.
So freaking good.
Outstanding. I kind of wish there was more of this kind of art. Art's good. But
well, I mean, that's
what you used to come to EC for.
That is a fine art piece. You know what I'm saying? That's like a big time, time commitment to create something like that. If that wasn't a clue for you, our next book is Cruel Universe #1 from Oni Press and their EC Comics Revival. It's written by Matt Kint and Various with art and colors by Kano and Various. The cover that we were just discussing is by Greg Smallwood, and it is gorgeous.
Yes, because Greg Smallwood, that guy's absolutely amazing.
The letters are by Richard Starkings and Comic Crafts Tyler Smith, which is a very confusing turn of phrase until you realize that Richard Starkings and Comic Craft is the name of the company.
True.
Not Richard Starkings and also Comic Craft. That's just the name of the company.
Well, you know.
It is 40 pages for $4.99. Here's your solicit. Compelled to oblivion, driven to entropy, all life in our cosmos can only end in one place: complete annihilation. For the first time in 70 years, the limitless fury of EC Comics rages back to life to shred the very fabric of the universe itself and wrench bizarre tales of time and space into our dimensional plane. Our guides across this double-sized 40-page introduction to a cosmic maelstrom of strange extraterrestrial entities, malevolent scientists, and terrifying technological catastrophes? Question mark?
Sure.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I see what they did here.
Yeah.
Learn to fear the void with the Learn to fear the void with the irradiated imaginations of Hugo Award nominee Karina Bechko from Invisible Republic, rising star Chris Condon from That Texas Blood, Eisner nominee Matt Kint from You Know Where, all kinds of places, and Edgar Award winner Ben H. Winters, known for The Last Policeman, as they collide with the wondrously destructive visions of artist Jonathan Case from The Green River Killer, Kano from Immortal Iron Fist, Artyom Topilin from I Hate This Place, and Caitlin Yarsky from Black Hammer Reborn.
This art team is loaded. Loaded.
It is loaded. The writing team is also loaded.
Yeah, they didn't screw around with this one. I'll tell you what.
No. The unpredictable return of EC Comics continues here with the Quantum Comics event of the millennium. Galaxies will collapse, space-time will be distorted, and your very will to exist too shall be broken. Just remember, it's all in the name of science. That's a solicit and a half.
Fantastic solicit. Yeah, love it.
I'm just going to tackle this a story at a time. I've got 4 short blurbs for each one, or one for each story. So first up is The Champion, Matt Kent and Kano. They deliver a seemingly straightforward space gladiator tale narrated by one of the combatants. Some nice contemporary nods, like the gladiators being sold to the populace as sports stars, complete with trading cards. I thought that was pretty clever.
Love it. Love it.
Great art by Kano and a twist ending I should have expected, but didn't.
Love
I like
it.
that story very much.
EC, baby. That's how they do, right?
I know. Next up, Solo Shift by Karina Bechko and Caitlin Yarsky. This duo weaves a cosmic murder mystery made much more complicated by the time distortions happening near the event horizon of a black hole. It's very twisty, very ironically tragic.
Oh, yeah.
It felt very EC to me.
Beautifully colored. Oh my God. It's so beautifully colored.
I like the color. Like they're right next to a black hole. So like,
Yeah.
it's just unreal as far as the visuals in the background. Third story, Drink Up by Chris Condon and Jonathan Case. Speaking of stories that capture that EC vibe, this one does for sure. An eccentric billionaire risks life and limb to find the fabled fountain of youth. What happens when you find it? Nothing good.
Yeah, of course not.
There's very fun.
There's never like found it and they got young and then they got to do it again. Nope.
And then they lived happily ever after.
That's like the monkey's paw. You don't want the monkey's paw. Trust me.
Nothing good ever comes from the fountain of youth, the Holy Grail, any of that shit. It's very fun. Great art by Case. I loved this story.
So good. So good.
But this one was like, it's like, okay, I know that they're all different writers, but I was like, okay, by the third one, they really got that EC vibe going.
Oh,
They're like, yes.
Oh, yeah.
And finally was Priceless by Ben H. Winters and Artyom Topilin. This story was my favorite of the bunch, I think. And I honestly don't want to get too much into the story because it's very cool. What I will say is that it features a good man forced to do dangerous and or terrible things for the benefit of others. And try not to read anything into that. That's all I'm going to say. The art by Topilin is wonderful. I loved the art in this story. Cruel Universe #1, like all anthologies, is a mixed bag of stories centered on a theme, dark sci-fi in this case. But even the quote-unquote lesser stories in this issue are still a ton of fun to read. The art is great throughout. It's true, nothing quite touches the promise of Greg Smallwood's cover, which is just jaw-droppingly gorgeous.
Yeah, amazing.
And I love that they are going for that old school EC style lettering that just looks like shitty typewriter font.
Well, they're doing the thing, like this.
They're doing it, yeah.
They're doing the thing. That's all I ask. Do the thing.
Future issues might end up being more miss than hit, but this issue kicks off the series with a very strong start. I'm giving this a buy it. I thought Cruel Universe was great.
Yeah.
Better than the horror one.
Absolutely. And for everything that I said I didn't necessarily care about in the horror one, which you were like, what are you talking about? It's great.
I mean, I liked the horror one.
I thought the horror one was
but
fine.
I like this better.
This is outstanding. And this is loaded with writing talent, loaded with art talent. They're just doing it. Like, they did the research and they're doing it. There is no throwaway stuff. And I felt like there was some throwaway stuff in a couple of the horror ones that I've read. This is excellent. It is a huge buy it. This is what an EC anthology updated to today should be. They nailed it. Well done.
It's the sort of book that kind of like I thought about for a couple days after. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
Like the Fountain of Youth story, and the black hole story. I was like, man, that sucks.
Yeah,
in a good way. Like, sucks for the character.
Yeah, that's perfect EC though. Like, people in a hopeless
like,
place.
Oh man, what a drag.
Forced to make terrible decisions. Like, this is that's EC.
Man, and that last
Let's go.
story is just a friggin' it's a gut punch.
That's
man.
great.
New comics for the week of Wednesday, August 14th.
Jumping to this week, the X relaunches continue with X Factor. #1 from Marvel. It's written by Mark Russell, cover by Greg Land, art by Bob Quinn. You know what? For a Greg Land cover,
I don't hate it.
it's not bad. This isn't bad.
I don't hate it.
Angel, mutants, your country needs you.
Glad
pointing
he's
at
not
ya.
drawing the book. Though.
Yeah. I will say the cover might spoil the story a little bit, but I'm not going to go into why. I won't go into why.
Well, yeah, kinda. I mean, I guess.
Art by Bob Quinn, colors by Jesus Abertov, letters by Joe Caramanga. It's 40 pages. It's $4.99. And here's your solicit. Fame, fortune, mutants! From the ashes of Krakoa, a new mutant arms race sweeps the globe. International governments are building their own mutant armies, but only America's X Factor is the most powerful, most patriotic, most marketable mutant heroes to stem the tide and make the world safe for democracy.
You can tell some ad man wrote
Yeah,
this, like
absolutely.
in-universe ad man.
This
wrote
is also just like so Mark Russell. This is what he does, and he's so good at it. It's all big money corporate social commentary.
It's Funky Flash Man. It's
great.
Funky Flash Man.
Yeah.
Dollar Bill, who was the equivalent at Marvel.
Join Angel, Havoc, Frenzy, Feral, Pyro, and more as they go from one death-defying mission to another. Who will die? Who will fall in love? Who will be the first to sell out? Like, comment, and subscribe to find out.
Shit, they don't even mention any of those poor souls.
Okay, so I didn't
solicit,
and I didn't read the solicit. I don't read the solicits before I read the comics because oftentimes the solicits would give some stuff away, and this would definitely give some stuff away because we begin with a completely. It
depends on your point of view, I think.
Well, we begin with a completely different team, right? And
you know what? And actually, let's put a pin in this in that thought because I will have something to say about that at the end.
Fair enough, but I came into it and even calling out like, who are some of these characters? And
then, like this is the team at the beginning: Angel, Feral, Fire Fist, who turns out to be Rusty from the old.
I was like, who the hell is Fire Fist? And I went, oh, it's Rusty. I love Rusty.
Zyber, who is a character I've literally never heard of before. Same with Cameo, who is a shape changer, who's got just like he's like Morph with
no face,
a green face instead of a white face.
Yeah.
And then Havoc, who is not on the team at the beginning.
He's going through a thing. Remember, Havoc was just dead, and they make fun of that too.
Which I don't even remember when was Havoc.
We didn't read the rest.
We didn't
read the rest of that limited series where he was living in the building with the creepy X Squad, and he was dating the Goblin Queen.
Yeah, right.
And he was
Did
wearing
he die in that?
he was wearing lingerie. Yeah, he died, and she brought him back as a zombie.
And then in the Infinity comic, we learn, which again they reference an Infinity comic in this as something you should read to prep for X Factor #1. There was an Infinity comic where he comes back to life or something like that.
Right. Yes. So whatever. The good news is you got Mark Russell writing this, so he's not afraid to make fun of everything that's happening. And page 1 reminds you, oh, hey, X-Men comics, they can be funny. They can be funny and still have weight and still have character and still have heart, but they can be funny. And I don't mean like the occasional joke in the hyper serious Krakoa, saga stuff we were getting. This is straight up funny. Mark Russell writes this very poignant, fun story about a mutant team that basically someone is trying to sell to the American public. This guy right here is Maxwell Lord. He's Maxwell Lord.
He's
Maxwell Lord. Absolutely. But he's jumping on the train before it gets to the station because he knows mutants are going to be popular again. They're just not right now. People love the really popular ones. Sure. But like for the most part, nobody wants a mutant living next door because, when they're around, stuff blows up. Right?
I mean, that was Maxwell Lord too, though.
Sure.
He essentially took the reunited Justice League that were living in the cave after Legends, after Crisis and after Legends, and he, through sheer force of will, turned them into international peacekeepers recognized by the UN.
Right. And that's what they're selling here, basically. X-Force is this whatever you need it to be team that's here to save them. Pardon me. X-Factor is this whatever you need it to be team that's here to save democracy. End of line. Well, what does that mean? Like, and there's protesters that are like, what the hell's going on here?
It means when democracy needs to be saved, you call
right.
X-Factor.
Yeah.
Duh.
It's just ridiculous. Yeah, and like I said, he's even making fun of things that happen to characters like Havoc becoming a zombie. There's a really good joke in here.
yeah.
Where he's talking to Polaris. He's like, I think I'm going to go join X-Factor. She's like, sweetie, you were just dead. Maybe you should chill out for a little bit.
I found reading this, Matt, that there were several pieces of status quo that I wasn't aware of. The Havoc zombie thing is whatever, because you're right. We didn't finish that book, but apparently Warren can't turn into Archangel anymore.
Yeah, hasn't been able to for a while.
I don't know when that happened.
I'm not sure. I think it had something to do with the disappearance of Apocalypse, maybe. I don't know for certain, though. So lay that
lay it on us if you remember.
Yeah. Not important, though, because quite honestly...
it's just one of those things.
This Angel, I like that Mark, first of all, is reestablishing Angel as kind of a snarky, fun character and also a leader. He's going to be leading this team.
Yeah.
And he's great. I love Angel as that character.
Well, he's leading the team... for now.
Well, and the team is not set up for success. That's the problem.
It's true. Yeah.
The team is set up to be successful, but not necessarily set up for success. Right?
Yeah, right.
And that's where the joke comes in. And I think Quinn's art, it's cartoony and it's fun and it maintains the lightheartedness of the book, but also when terrible shit starts to happen to characters, it's violent and it's bloody. And
it works on two levels.
Yeah.
It works as kind of lighthearted art that you can see being in a comedy, but it also works very well as straight up superhero art.
Right.
And I think that he's so good.
He is so good. And like the scene where they're Angel throws this Zyber kid out of the Blackbird and he's just like, I'm going to die. And he catches him. He's like, you're not going to die, you idiot. And the kid is just screaming. And Angel just looks so pissed off that like, this is what I'm dealing with. This is like Angel's been on teams with Wolverine and Psylocke and Colossus. And he has to deal with
rookies.
This idiot.
Rolling his eyes.
It's just great. There was really nowhere to go for X Factor but up after the last couple of forgettable volumes. And Mark Russell is a brilliant writer to bring in. His story just injects some much needed humor and sarcasm into the X relaunch while still making comments about digital marketing and social media conglomerates And Bob Quinn's art brings the snark home, sells the humor, and really sets up this team's first unfortunate outing. This might be, I'm calling it. This is the best X relaunch book I have read yet. I loved this because it was such a pleasant surprise.
Better than Uncanny.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Because he's got more direction right off the bat. I know what's going on. I like that Angel's being reintroduced as a main character. I like that Havoc is being reintroduced and he's not fundamentally screwed up. Like they're giving Havoc a chance
he's
to
pretty screwed up.
Reestablish himself, and the art's great. And Mark Russell, he's just one of the smartest writers out there without being so smart, like a Kieran Gillen level, where it's just like, oh man, this guy could teach me a master thesis in comic booking. Like Mark Russell's smart enough to still make it funny and intelligent. I loved it. Buy it. And it's great to have X Factor back. I love X Factor.
Before I give my rating, I want to say, as far as the script goes, the Mark Russell script and the dialogue, it's really wonderful. The jokes are great.
Yeah.
And there are character moments that really are, in some cases, are only meaningful if you have read that character in the past. Like there's a scene after the mission where they are taking some people into custody, and Farrell says, "For the record, this is absolutely the first time I've ever put somebody in handcuffs." And that only makes any sense at all if you know like what Farrell's whole deal was.
Right.
So, like her long saga of heroism and villainy and heroism in the old X-Force comics.
But then also, no spoilers. Don't have to worry about it after that.
Well, I mean, I think that the art is phenomenal. I love Bob Quinn. I think he's only gotten better. I think he's the perfect artist for a book of this tone. But I have to ask you, how is this not just exactly what Ecstatics was?
It's more fun. Ecstatics was a little
more
too
fun,
precious in its, you know what I mean? In the sense there's like, yeah, there's some funny stuff going on, but this is more fun because we're playing with established characters. 1, 2, I think this Cyber character that is brand new is the you and me. It's the character you can relate to. It's not another mutant we just found.
Yeah,
that's
I fire off uncontrollable electromagnetic pulses all the time.
No, in the sense that it's not another mutant that's already a trained badass and ready to go.
I'm kidding.
It's what if like you or I were a mutant and the X-Men or the X Factor is like, come on, you're going. Be like, I don't really do this shit.
I think it's only fair to point out that it is very similar to the setup of Ecstatics. Yes, it's using existing characters for the most part. Yes, the focus has been updated with the times. Like it was all about celebrity culture in the early 2000s. Now it's all about social media and stuff. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. It's still a very viable take on the commodification of these superheroes. How
many times have we had
mutants?
X Factor, the government sponsored team? They've done that several times too. So
It's true. I'm just like, look, it's fun. It's not exactly reinventing the wheel, and maybe that's okay. I'm giving it a buy it. I really, really liked it. But yeah, it's just like, be aware if you're it's going to seem familiar if you're a fan of that old Ecstatic stuff. I do like, the reason why this resonated with me a little bit more than Ecstatics ever did is the fact that it's existing characters.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
I want to read about Angel and Havoc and even fucking Feral.
Yeah, we can play with that.
Frenzy.
That's fun.
I think Krakoa made Frenzy a very compelling character, and I'm glad that they're still using her.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
I always liked Frenzy, and she had been around in and out.
He was a little one note before, but now like Krakoa gave her a real character.
Yeah, definitely.
And I like that she's around.
She's great.
And of course, Pyro and his dumb face tattoo is back.
We can get rid of that, but whatever.
No, I think it's hilarious that Pyro had to have died multiple times.
Sure.
And every time he died, he went straight back to the tattoo parlor to get that tattoo put back on.
Maybe.
It's hilarious to me. Matt, I am very sorry to report that Sensational She-Hulk is now over with this week's issue number 10.
Unfortunately, this is not a shock. They cannot keep She-Hulk going, and it doesn't matter
true.
how good it is. Doesn't matter.
It's true. So we're going to talk about it. Sensational She-Hulk number 10 from Marvel. It's written by Rainbow Rowell with art by Andres Genoulet. Colors are by D. Caniff. Letters are by VC's Joe Caramagna. It's 32 pages for $3.99. And here is your very short and sweet solicit. What is the fate of She-Hulk and Jack of Hearts? Their love has blossomed over the last 2 years of this She-Hulk story, but this issue will define it for the future. That's all you get. So yeah, I'm sad to see this era of She-Hulk come to a close, but I am happy that it was able to hold on for a respectable 25 issues, spread across 2 volumes. They rebooted in the middle, gave it a title adjective and a new number 1 for a sales bump, whatever. But they made it 2 years.
Yeah,
That's not bad.
Rainbow Rowell got to tell her story, definitely. It didn't feel like it didn't feel truncated.
I know that she wanted to do more, but you're right. I'm glad that she was able to at least tell a complete arc.
Mm-hmm.
Friend of the show and YA/adult contemporary superstar novelist, Rainbow Rowell. She spent the past 2 years and change building Jen Walters' life back up following years of trauma and loss. Don't even get us started. We hated that shit.
Yeah.
She's brought back fan favorite concepts like Awesome Andy and the Law of Practice. And she's also building up Jen's friendships with other characters with things like Punch Club and Eat Cake and Wear Fancy Dresses Wednesday. Most notably, Rainbow has given Jen a wonderful, long-term committed relationship with Jack of Hearts, a character who, up until the start of this series, the first volume of this series, was dead. Well, wait.
No.
I actually don't fact check me on that.
No.
He came back before, didn't he?
He came back before, yes.
Well, he was dead for a long time, and it's very complicated.
I mean, who hasn't been dead? I think everybody on this cover has been dead at one point, except for maybe... No, I'll bet everybody. Except maybe Awesome Andy.
That's actually something I think is a strength of this series. Rowell took elements of these characters' shared past and built a relationship on that.
Yeah.
So if you know anything about what happened to Jack of Hearts in the early 2000s, you know that his radiation was messing with Jen's whole gamma deal and causing her to fly into these psychotic savage Hulk smash rages. And at one point, she gets triggered and she kills the Vision.
Sure.
During Avengers Disassembled, she kills the Vision.
Didn't bother me that much.
And then Jack of Hearts flies up into space and oh no, that was earlier. But Jack of Hearts, and Jack had died earlier, and it's a whole deal. It's a whole thing.
The whole thing. And
so there's this complex backstory of it's the comic book epitome of it's complicated.
Right.
That relationship status.
Right.
And Rainbow spent a great deal of time bringing that character back from the depths that Bendis sent him to. This is the final issue, and it wraps up some long simmering subplots, but it also touches on all of the emotional relationships that Jen has built throughout the series. We get some very nice moments with Patsy, her best friend. There's the conclusion of the subplot with the 2 deviant renters that are trying to get approved for the condo by the condo board, which is very nice and sweet. In the end, Jennifer chooses to prioritize this version of her life rather than one that is completely subsumed by her membership in the Avengers. And I liked that was a theme.
Yeah.
That was a worry throughout the last couple issues of the series. And in the end, she says, no, it's more important for me to put on a dress and go have cake with my friend.
Right. And that's the
or
thing.
to be in court for these people.
That's what Rainbow Rowell did, was she took this character back. That was the whole mission. Take Jen back, and do it by having Jen make the decision. I want my life back, and I want to fix this. I've fixed these relationships, and I want to help people that I can help, and be the sensational She-Hulk. Beautiful.
Mission accomplished.
And you fucking jerks didn't buy it. and now it's going away. Thanks a lot.
Well, I mean, hopefully she's going to be in the Avengers sometimes. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if she
We'll see.
actually. I still don't know if she actually committed to join the Avengers in the end.
Isn't she
which
in
is
this
fine.
secondary
That's not the
Avengers
point, really.
team that's coming? Isn't the other Avengers book that's coming out?
Oh, not West Coast Avengers.
No.
Yeah, the one with the jackets.
Yes.
Yeah,
She's on the jacket team.
You might be right about that.
With Cap.
Rainbow Rowell's run on She-Hulk has been an absolute joy from start to finish, and Sensational She-Hulk number 10 is a bittersweet but satisfying ending. I didn't even touch on the art by Andres Genele. It's great.
It is really good.
He hasn't drawn the entire run, but he's very, very good.
Yeah. He's excellent. Really clean. I like his stuff a lot.
Yes. A lot of emotion in the faces, which you need for a melodrama like
For
this.
a soap opera. Yeah.
Yeah. I really hope that Jen Walters finds her way back into a series sooner rather than later. Hopefully you're right about that Avengers book, Matt. And I am genuinely excited to read more comics by our hometown pal. She's very good at it. I'm giving this a buy it.
She's very good. Rainbow Rowell's over at DC now.
She's writing backups in Action Comics right now.
Yeah. And I would not surprise me if she gets a shot at Supergirl or something soon. So, and she deserves it. She's great. Please give it to her. I am not caught up. So I read this standalone. It's great. And it's exactly what Rainbow Rowell has been doing. That is great on this. And I realize I'm part of the problem. I wasn't buying She-Hulk either. So I'm yelling at me too. She-Hulk is going to be around. She's a character you and I both love, but I'm going to miss Rainbow Rowell's voice that she gave to Jen. And the little thing, she obviously loved this character and she loved the relationship with her and Jack of Hearts, a character I don't give a shit about on record. And I loved them together. I hope they get married. I think it would be adorable. But I'm going to miss Rainbow Rowell at Marvel. I hope she's not gone. I hope the best for DC too. Thank you for this wonderful She-Hulk run. Dynamite is at it again with another licensed book. This time they're bringing back Jonny Quest. And when I first heard this, I went, oh man, I love Jonny Quest. Leave Jonny Quest alone. Then I saw it was written by Joe Casey. And I went, okay, bring back Jonny Quest. That kicks ass. This cover by
You're so easy.
Well, I mean, like, look, when you've got the right writer, I know that Joe Casey's going to do the homework. And Joe Casey's going to give me Jonny Quest with a little bit of Joe Casey. You know, like he knows how to do it. He can keep himself out of the way. That's all I ask. Cover by Chad Hardin and Chuck Michael Obach. Art by Sebastian Perez. Colors by Lorenzo Scaramella and letters by Taylor Esposito. It's 32 pages. It's $4.99. Here's your solicit. You can't go home again, or can you? Get ready to climb aboard the Sea Quest and embark for adventure once more. Legendary boy explorer Jonny Quest is back, along with his intrepid scientist dad, Dr. Benton Quest, bodyguard Race Bannon, adopted brother Haji, and all the rest of the cast from the classic animated series. Like, no love for Bandit. Whatever. Come on, man. Bandit's a member of this team. All right. Launching out of its issue number 0 prelude in Dynamite's 2024 free comic book day release, this action-packed new title begins where the show left off in 1964. But things quickly take a turn for the Uncanny as the team returns from an experiment at sea to their home base in Palm Key, only to discover that the once familiar landscape is now strangely, disquietingly different. Superstar writer Joe Casey, who's worked on Superman, he also created a little thing called Ben 10, and powerhouse artist Sebastian Perez, who worked on We Ride Titans and Deadweights, joined together to bring you the brand new tales of Jonny and the Quest team that the world has been waiting for, all enhanced by fully frameable covers. Okay. By Chad Hardin, Tom Raimi, Richard Pace, and Bob Layton. The Bob Layton cover's great, by the way. It's really good.
All right.
And this cover is solid. It's a little, I don't know how to describe it. Like the faces are a little weird and angular.
It's fully frameable, Matt.
I guess it's fully frameable. I don't know if that's a good thing in this case, but when I opened the first page, right? Let me get past all the variants. I went, oh shit, this Perez guy has got Jonny Quest. Like it looks like the old school Jonny Quest cartoon with like the shading and like really solid character work. Bandit is first front, like in the very front, already sniffing around. You'll notice if you ever watched the old cartoon, which I loved Johnny Quest when I was growing up. Johnny and Haji never discovered shit. Bandit did all the work. Bandit found everything.
Sure.
And they're like, good boy, Bandit. Here's the release valve. Good boy, Bandit. Here's the escape hatch. You know, whatever. This art is excellent, though. I really like the way the book looks. He's not aping the cartoon, but he's definitely captured the look of the cartoon and adjusted it to his own style. And man, the action scenes are fantastic. The characters are recognizable, but again, not aped. It doesn't feel like he's tracing or trying to do something like Saturday Morning Adventures of whatever, right? Where you just
right. Well, I mean, the good thing is that there are no actors to try to
no.
copy.
I'm talking about when they adapt cartoons to comics.
Yeah. I'm just saying it's a lot easier to capture the look of characters from a cartoon.
Absolutely.
In any comic book style, because you're not trying to copy anybody specific.
Right. And the story leaps right into the action with page 1. No BS whatsoever. If you didn't read the free comic book day issue, you're fine. There's a real quick little conversation.
I mean, there's a little bit that they there's a lot of exposition to explain it to you, but they also don't.
But it's not.
They
even
jump right
bad.
into it.
It's done really well in the sense where it's like Race and Dr. Benton have a conversation about how weird that was. And maybe that has something to do with this. Boom. You're caught up. All you need. This hits all the Johnny Quest beats for me. Race is a badass. Johnny and Haji only discover clues because of Bandit. Dr. Quest is the brains, but Casey still puts his stamp on the story with a fantastic twist and some kind of like heart-pulling things happen in this that's really good. Even if you didn't grow up watching Johnny Quest, which I would argue is one of the best cartoons of all time, you know who these characters are, and fans new or old, they're going to fall for Casey's mix of smart mystery and action. The creative team obviously loves Quest and the gang as much as super fans, but it's also accessible enough for any reader of any age that's looking for a great action comic read. Giving this a buy it. Well done, guys.
So I have zero affinity for Johnny Quest. None. I never watched it growing up. It's just, one of those cultural touchstones that I never had any connection to.
So
I know what it is. I recognize the importance of it. Like, I get that people love it and I have nothing against it. I have no experience with it.
Sure.
Outside of it being parodied on the Venture Brothers.
Yeah.
Right. And, but I recognize, the elements. I recognize that this comic does a great job kind of capturing the feel of that old show without, it doesn't feel like a throwback. It's still very modern.
Yeah.
In the telling of the story. And of course, there is a twist that I'll be honest, you do kind of see coming. They almost like hold up a sign that says,
telegraphed.
"It's this, dummy."
It's telegraphed, but then they do a thing with a twist where
it's how they finally reveal the twist that you're like, oh, yikes. This is probably the least Joe Casey comic I've read in a long time. It's very traditional.
Yeah.
As far as the storytelling goes, he doesn't do anything like super weird.
It's Joe Casey does Johnny Quest, as if they called him to write an episode of the cartoon. Yeah. No problem.
And I think that as an adaptation or as a continuation of the property, a modern continuation featuring these beloved characters, I think it does a great job. I'm giving it a buy it. I liked it a lot, even with no connection to the source material.
Oh, I'm super excited for more of this. Love me some Johnny Quest.
Our final review of this week's episode is Werewolf by Night. Red Band, number 1.
It's a thing now, Joe. Get used to it.
Yeah. This is from Marvel. It's written by Jason Liu with our pencils, rather, by Sergio Davia. Inks by Jay Leiston, JP Meyer, and Craig Young. Why it needed 3 inkers, I don't know, because it's, at least to their credit, it's not very apparent.
There was a lot of inking that needed to be done.
There were a lot of lines in it.
One man cannot handle this much inking, Joe.
The colors are by Alex Sinclair. The letters are by VC's Joe Sabino. Cover by EM Gist, and it's a great looking cover.
Cover's
It's very
kick-ass.
old school monster.
The cover is kick-ass.
70s monster magazine looking. It's 40 pages for $4.99, and here's your solicit. Full Moon Rise. Werewolf Kill. That's not a thing. Jason. Jack Russell has been trying to live a simple life, but in the deadly and dramatic wake of the Blood Hunt, his life is about to be turned upside down in ways he never imagined. With new enemies hoping to extract a literal pound of flesh, and Jack unsure if he can be trusted around old allies and a lost love, the original Werewolf by Night is in for the fight of his life, and he's in it alone.
Oh.
Except he's not. Polybagged for your protection. That's funny.
Yeah, you want to get the blood all over your shoes or your nice shirt.
Right. It's a mess.
Yeah.
Following the events of last year's excellent black and white one-shot, Jack Russell is hiding out in the castle of the villain that he and Elsa Bloodstone vanquished. He had nothing to do with Blood Hunt, but the complete blackout of the sun and moon have wreaked havoc on his transformations and may or may not have led to some unintentional maulings on his part.
He did have a Blood Hunt. He had a Blood Hunt tie-in.
Nope. That was the other one.
The other one.
That was the Werewolf by Night created by Taboo of the Black Eyed Peas.
That was
different character.
That wasn't. Oh, it was a wholly different character.
That's a different character. Yeah, he's an indigenous man that is a.
I didn't realize it was
that
that one and not this one. Okay.
Yeah. No, the Blood Hunt tie-in was about a different Werewolf by Night. I can see how you might be confused, and even Diamond Comics was confused because when I first went to find the cover yesterday or Monday when I was posting our reading list, they had the wrong cover up.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Meanwhile, the Hood, who I guess is no longer the Spirit of Vengeance, ? We didn't read that book, so it doesn't matter, is back on his bullshit, taking over a Darkholder gang and claiming the entire town of Transylvania as his own. I'm going to be real honest with you. I sometimes forget that Transylvania is a town and not a country.
Yeah, it's a town.
It's a town in Romania.
Yes.
It's Transylvania, Romania.
And you know what? Jason Liu wrote that Werewolf by Night Blood Hunt as well.
And that's fine.
Yeah.
It's a different character.
Yeah.
It's not related to this book. I enjoy Liu's take on Jack and how all he wanted was a little bit of peace, but that just isn't possible for monsters like him.
Right. It's kind of a Hulk thing that they're going for.
Yeah, right? It's like, why can't people leave me be? I can't be trusted.
Werewolf by Night just wants to be left alone. I get that, you know.
And like he thought he could build a life and have friends. Well, nope. Joke's on him.
Yeah.
Elsa's back and I love them as a duo, but Jack's messed up transformations mean that he's only seeing her as food at the moment. Sergio Devia's art is pretty decent. It's nothing too exciting, though he does use some unsettling camera angles that lend to the horror vibe. I thought that was pretty clever.
Yeah.
There's some like very extreme tilts of the camera.
There's other times though. Like I'm looking at a panel right now where the werewolf kind of looks like a monkey. I don't love it. I just kind of don't love it, you know? Like,
oh, see, it's
not wolfy enough for me. It's a little.
I disagree with that.
But like, I mean, if you look at this panel where the Werewolf by Night is like tearing apart the sea creature or whatever, that face code's monkey to me. I don't know.
So let's get into that. I am a sucker for the traditional snub nose, slick back hair, Lon Chaney Jr. Wolfman style Werewolf by Night.
And that's on the cover.
Which is what we get on the cover.
That's on the cover.
And that's what that is. That's what that dude is.
I just don't know if this artist.
But later on, he's kind of hulking out a little bit.
Yeah.
And it gets more extreme with like the long hair and the more pronounced features.
Yeah.
So when you get away from that, I kind of think then you're just reading about any old Wolfman.
Yeah. I kind of don't,
you know?
I don't love it. And I don't know. It's fine. It's fine. The art is not bad.
It's fine. Yeah, right. It's fine.
The art is not bad. It is fine.
As for the Red Band stuff, I almost forgot to mention it in my review when I wrote this. Yeah, it's gory. It certainly isn't anything we haven't seen in regular comics.
No.
At least not yet. This is issue 1, so we'll see. But Werewolf by Night is kind of a silly character known for bizarre adventures. If you look at his backstory, and they touch on it here in the title or recap page, it's bonkers.
Sure.
And it seems like Jason Liu and Sergio Davia are embracing that here. The red band stuff is a dumb marketing ploy.
Yeah.
But that aside, this first issue is a perfectly fine start to the series. It's nothing too earth-shattering. I'll definitely check out the second issue, but like I said, it's fine. It's fine. It's good. Even nothing to write home about. I'm giving it a strong skim it.
Yeah, I think the setup is really good, and I see Jason Liu working, and I like the character stuff. The art just kind of didn't work for me. I don't know. Like, I get it's like they're going for classic horror vibe, but some of it's a little too extreme, maybe. And
I think most of the art works. I think that
most of it
sometimes,
does.
though, it gets away from
when it doesn't, it took me out of it a little bit. I'm going to give it a skim it because it's not bad. And I'd like to read a Werewolf by Night comic. I will read issue 2, but if things don't pick up and hit me, I think I'm probably done. It's a skim it. So,
well, sure. I mean, I'm not committing to it long term. But I was interested enough that I'll check out the next one.
Fair.
As always, we've got links in our show notes for more details on these comics, but we want to hear your thoughts as well. Hit us up on our Discord and in this weekend's Gang Hang. But now it's time to pick the one comic from this pile that featured the most sexiest shirtless cowboys, or at least made us feel that way.
They were trying. I see them working here, and they're like, "This will get mad. This is pick a week now." Oh,
the comic that got us a flutter, as though it were a squad of shirtless cowboys. We're gonna add that comic to the THN permanent collection. Matt Baum, what's your pick?
This one was tough, to be perfectly honest, because we read so much good stuff. But I think the comic that hit me the most, coming from a place where I didn't know what to expect, and I love this writer, I knew it would be good, but the power fantasy, I think, has me the most interested for where this story's gonna go. I'm legit excited for it, and that artist, oh my god, is so good. I think the power fantasy #1, the next issue of the power fantasy would be the first comic book I read of all of these comics that we have in front of us. So I got to give it to the power fantasy because I'm so curious about where this comic goes.
I really thought you were going to pick X Factor.
I loved it.
To be honest.
It was great. But X Factor was like an easy lob and a spike, like point, whatever. You know what I mean? I think the power fantasy is doing something legit interesting and huge.
And I think that this just highlights the fundamental difference between what I consider picking my favorite and you consider picking a favorite.
That was my favorite, though. I mean, honestly,
I understand, but sometimes you don't pick things because they're quote unquote too easy, which is not. If it's your favorite, it's your favorite.
Sure, but it wasn't. Power fantasy was legitimately my favorite.
Yes, in this case, yes, I get it. For me, it's Uncanny X-Men. I when I read Uncanny X-Men, I just let out a deep sigh of relief.
Agreed.
The X-Men are they're back. The kids are back. And, this is no shade on anything that Krakoa had to offer. We liked a lot of it. And it's more a statement on how this From the Ashes thing so far has kind of had us scratching our heads in some ways.
Yeah. It feels a little
not that we've hated the books.
It just feels a little directionless.
But this read like the flagship book. And I'm kind of surprised they didn't put it out first, put their best foot forward.
It almost would have made a little more sense if they did.
Yeah.
To set up
because as it stands, it makes me think that they think that the Cyclops book is their flagship, and I don't think it is.
And have them talk about what Scott's doing, and that sets up. Next, you see what Scott's doing, and here's the team book or whatever. Maybe it would set
I
up
don't
there. Whatever. It is what it is. Joey, let's head to the THN Sanctum Sanctorum, and we need to have a talk, buddy. Okay? There's been some chatter about your must-read picks, and a group of concerned listeners wants me to inform you that they do, in fact, want to know what your must read comic will be. Not a book that you think could be weird or one you're a little worried about. They want your must read comic pick for next Wednesday, August 21st. They went on to say that I always deliver a solid pick and they don't have to worry about me. So, Joe Patrick, what is the one book that they must read next week?
It's curious that I didn't get to take part in this conversation.
They came to me.
That there's no record of this anywhere on the Discord.
We know you're close to him, and we want you to broach the subject. It only seems right coming from you. And I said, guys, I will do that for you. I said, Brian Domingos, I will do that for you. Oh, whoops! Oh, God damn it!
Well, I think Brian Domingos would agree with me. First of all, I'm going to continue to do what I want. Second of all, me and Brian Domingos are both going to pick Jenny Sparks #1 from DC Comics as our must-read pick for next week. It's written by Tom King, which is weird, with art by Jeff Spokes. It's 40 pages for $4.99. I guess it's not weird.
No.
But it's just like Tom King's kind of on this tour of like,
look at the other stuff he chose. When
small side characters lately.
You're telling me Jenny Sparks is not a small side character at this point, Joe Patrick?
That's what I just said.
Yeah.
Like outside of Wonder Woman, Wonder Woman's a big book, but they also just announced that he's doing a Black Canary miniseries.
Well, yeah, he did Human Target. He did, come on.
It's weird. The Black Label books, this is a whole conversation that's irrelevant to my excitement for Jenny Sparks.
Tell about your pick. Let's go.
Here is your solicit. It's The Wild Storm, baby. The Wild Storm begins.
Again.
Yeah. What could 4 strangers have to do with the fate of the world? Find out as Captain Atom goes rogue. We love that guy. Threatening to destroy the planet he once swore to protect. Can any hero stop him? Well, it may take the most unconventional of them all, Jenny Sparks. The one woman tasked with keeping all the heroes in line, no matter the cost. With a snap of her fingers, she's entered the fray and won't quit until the job is done. The spirit of the 20th century returns for the 21st in this action-packed new miniseries by Eisner Award-winning writer Tom King. You know him from Wonder Woman and Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, and artist Jeff Spokes. Is this a Black Label book? I don't think it's a Black Label.
This is a Black Label book, which makes sense because Captain Atom is going to be on the next Justice League lineup. So
yeah. Well, then I guess that it's not really. The fact that Captain Atom is the villain of this book is not all it's cracked up to be. I think maybe there's more than meets the eye.
Perhaps it's a misunderstanding. We'll find out. I don't know.
I'm looking forward to it. The art looks great. Tom King, I'm ready.
Yeah.
Wow me.
Let's go. My pick for next week: Wolverine Revenge #1 from Marvel, written by Jonathan Hickman. He's back in the X office, baby, with art by Greg Capullo. 28 pages, $4.99. Here's your solicit. Hickman and Capullo join forces for a Wolverine epic like no other. Greg Capullo makes his grand return to Marvel Comics storytelling, and he and Jonathan Hickman, who I would argue is also making his grand return to Marvel storytelling, pit Wolverine against a cadre of foes who will turn his world upside down. He's been beaten, he's been bloodied, and Logan only has one thought on his mind: revenge! Bet you didn't see that coming. Don't miss this prestige miniseries, set to become one of the defining tales in Wolverine's storied legend. Look, Jonathan Hickman and Greg Capullo writing Wolverine. This is what we thought was going to be the Wolverine X relaunch book.
The actual Wolverine book.
It's not. It's a different book. But hey.
And that's fine.
I'm on board. Let's go. I'm in. No question.
I'm in too.
I was in when you said Hickman and Capullo. I've been down
really,
since
I
Capullo
don't
was
think
drawing.
Hickman ever truly left the X office. I think he's just been quietly doing shit in the background for a long time.
Oh, I think you left the X office.
No, I don't think so, because Greg Capullo has been drawing this Wolverine comic for
I agree, but
time.
They didn't even invite him to issue 750, Joe.
I don't know what to tell you, bud. The THN trade of the week goes to Bear, Pirate, Viking, Queen. It's a trade paperback from Image Comics. It's written by Sean Lewis, with art by Jonathan Marks Baravecchia. It's 184 pages for $19.99, and here's your solicit. The groundbreaking 3-issue miniseries is collected in its entirety. A tale of the sea, of pirates, Vikings, queens, and bears. We follow each as they war with each other and try to assert dominance over the past and future of our world. written by best-selling creator Sean Lewis, who you might know from King Spawn, but we won't hold that against him. He also writes Above Snakes, which we loved.
Really good.
And with mind-blowing hand-painted art by newcomer Jonathan Mark Sparavecchia. The book is unlike anything you've read. Beautiful, poignant, and daring. A fever dream unlike any comics has seen lately. We never covered this for the show, but there's a lot of buzz. I heard a lot of buzz about Bear, Pirate, Viking Queen.
Okay.
And so I think it's definitely worth checking out this trade if you haven't. At least give it a look-see on the Image site. Look for a preview or something. The art looks gorgeous.
It does. No, this dude's in
The art is breathtaking.
artist.
Beautiful.
Yeah. No, this looks great. I did.
And we like Sean Lewis around here.
Yeah, we do. These are our picks for next week. What are your picks? We are always talking about comics. We do it over a Discord. We've got all these different sections full of comic talk. Let us know what you're excited to read. Hit us up on a gang hang this weekend. All right? Join us. Talk comics with us. That's what.
And if there is a comic book that you think is must read because it is a sheer curiosity, then that's okay.
That doesn't make it a must read. That makes it the sheer curiosity of the week.
Before we seal this episode away in a red-banded poly bag to protect the children of America, it's time for a sneak peek at our Patreon Extra, which you can get full access to when you support THN on Patreon for as little as $1 per month.
I don't know what happened.
Follow your heart.
Welcome, brave Patreon donors, to your THN Patreon Extra. This week, we are doing Nerd TV, right?
Didn't have an intro planned, did you there?
No, I didn't, but here we are. Nerd TV, and we are talking about Batman, Caped Crusader. Not the Caped Crusader,
Yeah,
which I kept calling it.
Drives me a little crazy, to be honest.
Like, the kids don't like the anymore, I guess, so we had to get that out of there. It was one of the first major changes.
I guess articles are out of fashion.
I guess so. So we're just going to lay down our feelings, what we think. We both watched the entire series, right? I just finished last night.
I've watched the entire series. I binged it in like a day and a half.
Awesome. And as always, if you are donating to our THN Patreon, you get access to this full shebang. For those of you freeloaders, you get 5 good minutes. So deal with it. Just know after the 5-minute mark, this gets so much sexier and you're missing out. So let's get into it. Batman, the Caped Crusader. It is the spiritual successor to Batman, the animated series. It is not more Batman, the animated series.
Right. It's not a sequel. It's not tied to Batman, the animated series in any way other than Bruce Timm is involved.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Good decision? Yes or no?
I mean, yeah.
I think so too. Like, at first,
Creating something new is probably for the best.
It probably is. To be perfectly honest, when I started this, the first few episodes, my brain was like, this ain't no Batman animated. This is not it. This is not what I want. I had to turn that voice off because I just wanted more Batman, the animated series. And this is different. They're making new choices. They're doing something new. It's probably a good thing. That cartoon's really old.
They could have gone in a different direction and pulled an X-Men 97 and just like blown our socks off. But I mean, there's also a chance that it wouldn't have been as good. And we would be having a very different conversation.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And I think
like X-Men 97 is kind of like lightning in a bottle sort of stuff.
Yes. And I don't think you can compare the two at all. And there was a lot of comparisons online.
No, I'm just saying, like, if they had tried to do that right? If they had tried to make Batman 96 or whatever.
Right.
Then that could have gone either very, very well or horribly bad.
And I totally agree. I just think a lot of the reviewers online made that comparison. And I don't think it's fair because they are doing a different thing. And quite honestly, fine. That cartoon ended a long time ago. We're not trying to recapture the spirit of that. Like, in the sense that one of the first things that I noticed, Batman the Animated Series has a classic look, but it's very timeless, right? Like, there's classic cars, But there's also nothing that definitely says.
I mean, it's an Art Deco, like,
Yeah.
It's like the Batman '89 movie.
Exactly.
It's an Art Deco, it's a museum piece, that version of Gotham
Right.
City, the animated version of Gotham City.
But it
And
still
this
felt
is
like
set
it could have been taking place in the 90s when it went like.
This is actually set during the time period of Art Deco.
Right.
So-
This is the 30s. This is firmly set in the 30s.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that leads me into like, I want to talk about the design of these characters first, because to me, when I see this Batman, who's the most important part of the show, Batman.
Yeah.
It's in the name. They are doing a very golden age kind of take on Batman.
He's got kind of the wide set, curved ears. He's got the short gloves. They're not purple, thank God.
That's good. But I don't like the ears. I don't like it.
I don't like the ears either. It's just, I think that looks goofy on Batman.
It does.
But, I mean, whatever.
But I started thinking about this because you've also heard me say, I love it when Kelly Jones draws Batman's ears 6 feet tall.
Sure, right.
And someone called me out on that just the other day.
Why is that okay?
Right. They're like, why is that okay? Kelly Jones draws this differently. Kelly Jones draws Batman like he's 12 feet tall. So when the ears are 3 feet tall, it's proportional and it makes sense,
No,
right?
it's not. They're not proportional. No.
No, but when I say when you do it to the animated style, like this Paul Dini looking animated style, he just has big ears and it looks funny.
I think that generally speaking, the Golden Age Batman curved ears look goofy.
Yeah.
And I don't really care for them. I also don't care for the Batman 66 or like the Silver Age Batman short little stubby pig nose looking ears.
Excelsior!
That is it for THN 751. If you dig our new comic reviews, check out our YouTube channel. You can subscribe to each show separately. We've got a back issue show. We have a gang hang. We have some extra stuff that we do there too. It's super cool. And you can also listen to his podcast separately on YouTube Music. Next week, the Cosmic Long Box returns for the back issue show, and it wants to help us get our heads around this whole RDJ is Doom thing by making us read comics where Tony Stark goes bad. Sometimes he becomes Doom. Sometimes he's just a bad guy. We're going to dig into it. If you need more THN in the meantime, join us for the gang hang on Saturdays at 11 o'clock Central. Check out our Discord for details. Joe Patrick, what else can they do while at our Discord?
You can join us in celebrating with the newly engaged Griffin Peterson, who I could have sworn was just 12 years old a second ago. You can also explore your complicated feelings about the kind of great new trailer for Kraven the Hunter.
Kind of great.
No joke.
What are you talking about?
That new trailer for Kraven the Hunter is great.
Okay.
Did you watch it?
Yes. It's gonna be
great.
so bad, Joe.
I'm just telling you, that trailer is great.
Good Lord.
Or, hey, maybe you just want to answer the question of the week. This week's question, in honor of the recently concluded 2024 Summer Olympics, what is your favorite sports-themed comic book character, story, or series? So it doesn't just have to be a sports character. Your favorite story about sports, or your favorite series that's about sports.
Kickers Incorporated. That's the only answer. Come on, Kickers Incorporated.
There are lots of different answers, and we've already seen quite a few great ones in our Discord. Please keep your question of the week suggestions coming. You can sign up for the Discord with the link at twoheadednerd.com/Discord. Once you're in, we do have a no jerks allowed policy. If we find out that you're a jerk, you will be...
You're out the clubhouse. We kick you out of the treehouse.
You will be violently executed.
And
I don't know what to tell you.
fall out of the treehouse and you land hard.
You will be pushed out of the treehouse. You can post about any of our segments there, or if you don't dig on the Discord, you can send an MP3 submission for the Comic Pushers or for Ask a Nerd or for whatever to twoheadednerd@gmail.com. And if you like, we'll put you on the show.
If you're new to this show and you frankly think we're a little racist for confusing our werewolves by night, I assure you it's a simple mistake and you just haven't heard enough. We're actually very nice to werewolves. Some of our best friends are werewolfs, okay?
Right.
The good news is you can hear the entire run of THN in our digital longbox archive at twoheadednerd.com. THN is a listener-supported...
For the record, I was not confused.
THN is a listener-supported podcast. It wouldn't be possible without the generosity of donors like our longtime supporter, Richard Kovars. Werewolf. Okay, I don't mean to out him in front of everybody, but there it is. Okay, and we accept Richard for who he is. It's
When you say that I don't mean to out him and then you out him, then you meant to out him.
I am saving my reputation, is what I'm doing here. If you like
Richard,
what you
I'm
hear,
so sorry.
if you howl at the moon every time you hear us like Richard does, it's easy to support the show. You can sign up to be a patron at patreon.com/2headednerd.
Before we go, our weekly shout out goes to Ian Kelly, aka Stately Lord Fungus, one of our dear friends from across the pond. Newer listeners unfamiliar with older THN lore may not know that our Stately is a supremely talented musician whose past efforts with his band Love Fungus have been all over our episodes through the years.
They still are.
We use Love Fungus for the gang hang.
Yeah,
don't you?
we use it. He wrote the theme to our gang hang. Yeah.
That's Love Fungus. That's Staley, baby. Well, he has a brand new album out now called Laterality. Laterality. Let me say that
Super
name
easy to
clearly.
say.
Laterality or Laterality. Released under the artist name Pacific Low. Give him a listen and a follow on the streaming platform of your choice. I will have a link to his Spotify page in our show notes for this episode. I found that if you search for Pacific Low on Spotify, it can be a little tricky to find him. I had to search for his real name. So I got there, but I'm going to put a link for your convenience in our show notes. Cheers, mate. We are proud of you. We are happy for you. Congrats on the new album.
Until next time, true relievers, remember to pre-order your comics or your retailer might just give your new album 1 star. This is the Two-Headed Nerd signing off.
Can you even do that anymore? I don't think you can rate things on Spotify, can you?
Not on Spotify. There's other places you can rate shit.
There's only Spotify, Matt. I don't know what you're talking
not
about.
True.
There's only Spotify, Matt.
You poor bastard. They've got you, huh?